Well, hello, everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be with you again on this beautiful Wednesday. Hope you're doing well today. We're going to continue and possibly finish up Are You Satisfied? Come and be satisfied. We've been talking over the last several days as we look at this passage from Isaiah, and it speaks into the physical, it speaks into the spiritual food, water, soul, thirst, hunger, soul satisfaction. In this part that we left off yesterday, Isaiah is speaking of spending money, if you will, on that which is no good, that which doesn't do anything, that which produces nothing, that which is not bread. We talked a little bit about what that means when we oftentimes find ourselves laboring, if you will, for something that doesn't satisfy. What we find in that component is it robs from us. We are pursuing something that doesn't have a payoff. And I'm not even speaking about monetarily. It's not going to produce that which we're seeking after. And what happens, unfortunately, in the lives of many, this becomes a cycle. It becomes a habit. One gets stuck in that place to where it's an endless pursuit of something that is never found. And that's not finger pointing. That's just being honest. And it's a reality for any one of us. There's none of us that are exempt from that because we all have dreams. We all have pursuits. We all have desires. What we find in this life, though, is the continual pursuit of those things with the attempt, the intention, the desire for satisfaction, that which will fulfill us, only to find that it didn't. And so what happens is oftentimes we find great discouragement or disappointment and want to throw in the towel and want to quit. Here in this verse, we're told to eat that which is good. In other words, those things that truly satisfy, those things that truly fulfill. He's saying that if we're going to use resources, be them monetary, be them time, be them talent, if we're going to use our resources, the gifts that we've been given, use them for something good. Don't waste that. I tell my children that all the time. God has given them such incredible giftings in their artwork and in their just ability to be so creative. I mean, it truly is an amazing thing to watch. Don't waste that. Don't throw that away. And it's not about the pursuit of riches or fame or any of that kind of stuff. Use the talents that God has given you. Use the resources that God has given you for something that's worthwhile, because if not, we get left with an empty feeling. We get left with a feeling of total dissatisfaction. That is why Jesus said, what I give to you is not like the world gives. So what we find is that our one source of true fulfillment, our one source of true satisfaction is Christ himself. So as we're speaking of the satisfaction of the soul, we only find that in our faith in the Lord. Now, one may say, well, you're saying it just because you're a preacher. No, I'm saying because I have lived that. And in my lifetime, I have learned that is the only thing I've got that I can count on. That is the one thing I've got. I was posed this question just today. Why are there so many roads? Why are there so many faiths, so many religions? So it's this lesson we've been studying. People are looking for answers. People are looking for satisfaction. People are looking for wholeness and completeness. And what happens is they pursue all these different things and they're still left with a wantingness. There's still something there that wasn't fulfilled. But I can tell you, when you come to know Christ, and I'm talking about you come to know him, not a religious system, not a denomination, but when you come to know Christ, then the light bulbs start to click on. Then it starts to make sense. Then it's like, oh, okay, now this makes sense. Now I realize why the other avenue didn't work. Now I realize why the sign that says dead end actually means that. And I don't have to keep going down that road. We, as a people, every one of us have been disappointed in this life by something, a product, the newest fad that's supposed to be the greatest thing, and it peters out to where there's nothing to that. A new recipe. My goodness, I'm a cook, and sometimes at home we'll try something new, and sometimes it's like, wow, put that on the list. That's kind of our little internal saying in our house. Put that on the list. Let's do that again. And then there are other times we're like, yeah, that didn't work. We've all had those experiences, and absolutely every one of us have been disappointed by someone else. And we could go down a lot of roads and a lot of stories with that, but that's really neither here nor there. The fact of it is, that happens. That's life. We can allow that to remain in place. We can allow that to live there long enough that it can cause us problems, or we learn the valuable life lesson and we move on. But oftentimes, what happens is rather than moving on, while we may move on in a literal direction, we don't move on past the pursuit of what we're looking for, which ultimately sometimes ends us in a place of just doing it again with a different person, with a different product, with a different this or that, only to find that didn't work either. It's like the woman at the well, multiple marriages. All of it was not out of dissatisfaction with that particular spouse. I mean, we don't know all the circumstances behind it, but the bottom line was it didn't work. There was not the fulfillment that needed to be there. A lot of times what happens is in the pursuit of satisfaction, it becomes a lifestyle of always looking, never finding contentment, never finding true wholeness, and never being satisfied, always thirsty, always hungry, always an empty soul. If I'm honest, I've had those periods of time in my life. I think we all have. Sometimes you still wrestle with it, even after you come to know the Lord and you fall in love with Christ, depending on how much we lean back toward life and the things the world offers. Because if we're honest, a lot of times they are the catalyst for great disappointments because it didn't work out the way we wanted it to. It's just a reality. Let me say it this way. Any route, some people say route. I grew up on route, but so whatever. Any route to satisfaction but Christ is a counterfeit. Now, Pastor, what do you mean? Well, if it's not real, it won't last. If it's not real, it doesn't just not hold value, it has no value. I was in Europe many years ago preaching a revival, or helping participate in the preaching of a revival. And I'll never forget, there was a gentleman there on the corner selling Rolex watches. Now, people would say, whoa, Rolex watches? They were $10. If you know anything about a Rolex watch, they're not $10. They look good. It had all the nice shine, and it had all the little crystals and all the bells and whistles or whatever. But it wouldn't work. It was no good. I mean, if you even wound it or did anything with it, it was going to fly apart. It was a novelty thing. It looked good, until it turned your arm green or what. It was a counterfeit. It wasn't real. It had no value. It could hold no value. My point of that is, if you really wanted a real one, that wasn't the answer. And it would just leave you with an emptiness and really the loss of $10. Okay. We find this over and over and over when we're seeking things. Now, hear me. It is not wrong to have stuff. It's not. It's not wrong to have homes and cars and nice bank accounts and nice clothes. None of those things are wrong. But what is our pursuit as we're attempting to satisfy our thirst, our hunger, our soul? What are we pursuing to do that? Are we filling it with stuff? Are we filling it with what people are telling us, or some type of accolades from people, or pursuing some type of sales pitch from something that has said, hey, this, and this, only to find that it's not true? Because what happens is at the end of that, we can easily move into a place of bitterness. We can easily move into a place of dissatisfaction and either quit looking and really, really withdraw from everything, and then life passes us by, or we continue to stay in the same pattern and never break the cycle, all the while never finding the answers that we're looking for. So we go back to the question, are you satisfied? That's what this passage is about. Come and be satisfied. Come and find that which will quench your thirst, that which will satisfy your hunger, that which will bring peace to your soul. Jesus leaves us full. But the desire to want more once we come to know Him, it's because of His satisfying nature. I've come to know this one who's brought me this. I want to know Him more. This is not about greed or gluttony or anything else. This is, no, I can't get enough of that which is good. Everyone we hear in this verse, everyone is invited to the feast. Everyone is invited. And it's a feast that will never leave you doing without. It is a feast that will be totally satisfactory. It is with Jesus that we're offered water, living water. It is with Jesus that we're offered the bread of life. It is with Jesus that we're offered peace for our very soul, for He is the Prince of Peace. He is the Messiah. He is the Christ. He is the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. He is it all. He satisfies our soul for eternity because it is by Him, through Him, and only through Him that one can be saved. It is by Him and through His death on the cross and the resurrection that we have the opportunity for eternal life with God forever. He brings what our soul needs. He brings that satisfaction. What an incredible thing to learn. What an incredible thing to know. What an incredible thing to understand. So as we wrap this up, as we look at the last component of this, here's something that's kind of neat. In a world of material things, in a world of struggle, in a world that is an ever-increasing burden on the working class person to just make it, just survive, this is all free. It's been taken care of. It's been paid in full. This text says, everyone who thirsts, come to the water. He who has no money, you come, you buy, and you eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk, and do so without money and without price. Friends, all who desire, everyone who desires, those who are hungry, those who are thirsty, those who are seeking, this invitation given to us here is very simple. Come and be satisfied. Well, Pastor, I don't know how to do that. We live in a time, and I don't like to say that to be repetitive, but we live in a time to where so few people listen. Many people hear, but a lot of people don't listen. And there is a vast difference between those two things. Christ is giving us the invitation. He's saying, hey, the world is the world. What I offer you is eternal. It is not temporary. What I give to you is eternal, not temporary. It is so important that we understand this, friends. So important that we gather this, because we're constantly in pursuit of satisfaction. We've got songs about it. Again, I said this in the very beginning of this lesson. I can't get no satisfaction. We've got poems about it and stories about it and movies about it and sayings and cliches and all this stuff. Satisfaction. It is a key part of our language. It is. Every one of us, every single one of us who will listen to what Christ is saying. Here's the thing. Ask yourself this question. Look at your life. Examine your heart. Examine your mind, examine your soul, and ask this question. Am I satisfied? This is not about looking at your spouse and wanting a different one. This is not about you didn't have a big enough house or a terrible job. Those are surface things. Those can all be fixed. But what are you thirsting for? What are you hungry for? What does your soul desire? Because if you're feeding any one of those components, anything that is less than satisfactory, you'll continue to search. You'll continue to not be satisfied. But the Lord is saying, you come to me. It's a one-stop shop. All the answers are right there. Jesus is the answer. He's the only way. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And none goes into the Father but by me. He's the answer, friends. He's the bread of life. He's the living water. He is the answer for our soul. All the things that we pursue in this life, careers, relationships, I don't put a wrong label on all of those, depending on how we go after them. But do they become our true pursuit, our true desire, that we think that's going to satisfy us? I've known people that are extremely wealthy or affluent and have done well, celebrities, all this. I've known people like that in my life. I've been blessed to know them. Some of them I would even call friends. And there have been times that many of them have said they had it all and at the same time had nothing, because they were looking for satisfaction in that, only to find that it didn't work. Even after they got it, it wasn't enough. No one that I've ever known that has truly come to know Christ has ever said that, because he is the fulfillment of everything that he says. He's the one that won't let us down. He is closer than a brother. He is the one who will tell us the truth. He is the one that can save our soul. He is the one that can heal us and make us whole. That may not be here physically, but he promises for eternity it will be. He is the one that never breaks his word. When we draw closer to him, when we begin to see better, when we begin to find true joy, when we begin to love life and it abundantly, it changes everything. It changes who you are. It changes your circle of friends, your circle of influence. It changes what you listen to, what you don't listen to, and what you allow to have space and place in your life. We need a lot of this today, because many people are looking for satisfaction in all the wrong places. And we see depression and discouragement and high anxiety at levels that most people couldn't even imagine right now. Friends, as long as we continue to look for something in the wrong place, as long as we continue to look for bread on an empty shelf, we're going to continue to be hungry. As long as we look for water in an empty well, we'll continue to be thirsty. When we look for mankind's ways, whether it's political, celebrities, material, or any other kind of way to satisfy our soul, we'll always be looking for more. Come to him. Come to the one that can truly satisfy your every need, and he'll change your life. Are you satisfied? The opportunity is there to fulfill that very thing. Lord willing, we're going to start the next invitation. Come and let us return unto the Lord. This is a message for our nation that is needed right now, maybe more than ever. God bless you. Thank you for joining me for Making It Simple. And Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.